our sincere thanks to Honorable President for his enlightened address. The debate on the President's address has been rigorous and wide-ranging. I thank all the honorable members who have contributed to this debate. Madam, as Honorable President mentioned in the initial part of his address, our economy has faced a difficult situation in the past 1 year. Honorable members are aware that our growth has slowed down and the fiscal deficit has risen. Inflation has been a persistent problem in the last 2 years. The current account deficit is substantially higher than what we would like it to be. The finance minister has dealt with all these issues in his budget speech, and before that, the economic survey tabled in this house gave a fairly comprehensive picture of the state of the economy. I would therefore be brief in speaking about the challenges that confront our economy and what we need to do to overcome them. However, Madam, I do wish to emphatically endorse the view of the Finance Minister that the slowdown in the economy need not persist and that we are fully capable of putting the country back on a high growth path of 7 to 8% per annum in the next 2 to 3 years. To achieve this, we need to increase the rate of investment, especially in infrastructure. Our effort, therefore, will be to raise domestic savings, contain the growth of subsidies, and encourage private investment. While our aim is to achieve an average GDP growth of 8% during the 12th plan and agricultural growth rate of 4%, the focus will continue to remain on inclusive growth. Inclusive growth implies not only reducing poverty, but also improving regional equality across and within states, uplift of the scheduled castes, scheduled tribes, other backward classes, and minorities, closing gender gap and generating more and better employment opportunities. Our policies have been designed to fulfill these objectives. Madam, I listened with great interest to the speech of the Honorable Shri Rajnath Singh Ji, and the best I can do is to compare the 9 years of UPA rule with the 6 years of the NDA rule so that our countrymen and women can draw a proper appreciation of what has been done in these 9 years. Madam, first I take the growth rate of the GDP. If you look at the period of 9 years, including the current period of slowdown, our average growth rate in these 9 years will be 7.9%. As against this, the NDA 6 years yield no more than 6%. Madam, it is true that growth in 2012 has slowed down, but nowhere else is growth profile in an upward direction. Europe is in recession, US growth rate is very low, Japan is stagnating, Brazil growth rate is less than 2%, South Africa's growth rate is 2.3%, and in the light of the prevailing global situation, our growth rate looks to be impressive, even though we are not satisfied with it. Madam, Inclusiveness of the growth process can be judged in many ways. The first and foremost is the concern with the well-being of our farmers, what happens to agricultural production, and as I said earlier, from 2004-5 to 2011-12, that is the UPA period, the growth rate of agricultural production and allied activities was 3.7%. The corresponding growth rate from 98-99 to 2003-4 of the NDA period was no more than 2.9%. Because agriculture has grown at a faster rate, also because of a number of inclusive policies put in place by our government, like Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Program, the per capita consumption in rural areas during the UPA period is 3.4%. In the NDA period, the per capita rural consumption was no more than 0.8%. And I come now to the real wages in agriculture. Real wages in agriculture in the 11th plan period rose at an average annual rate of 6.8%. In the previous decade, the growth rate of real wages in agriculture was no more than 1.1%. Madam, with regard to poverty, in the UPA period, poverty declined at an average annual rate of 2% per annum. In the preceding 10 years, the decline was no more than 0.8%. Madam, we are all concerned about the slowdown in industry. But when we compare the 9-year period in which the UPA has been in government, our industrial growth rate average is 8.5%. The corresponding average for the NDA from 98-99 to 2003-4 is no more than 5.6%. With regard to regional inequalities, interstate growth differential have narrowed and interstate inequality is not increasing. The so-called Bimaru states have also done much better in the UPA period than was the case previously. In terms of education and skill development, also the achievements of the UPA are really notable. The key instruments for promoting inclusiveness and empowerment are education and health and skill development. There has been near universal enrollment in primary schools and a steady increase in average number of years of schooling of labor for labor force. The Right to Education Act is a major landmark of the UPA. Madam, with regard to higher education, there has been unprecedented expansion of central universities. The number has gone up from 17 in 2004-5 to 44. The IITs have gone up from 7 to 16. The IIMs have gone up from 6 to 13. Indian Institutes of Science, Education and Research have gone up from 1 to 5. Indian Institutes of Information Technology have gone up from 2 to 4. The result is the gross enrollment in higher education in 2006-7 was 12.3%. In 2011-12, it has gone up to 18%. With regard to health, Madam, National Rural Health Mission made a very important start. Rashtriya Swasth Bima Yojana is a huge UPA initiative and it provides inpatient cover to 3.4 crores of families. The infant mortality rate has fallen from 58 to 44. The maternal mortality rate has fallen from 254 to 212. Life expectation, life expectancy at birth was 2000 was in 2010, 2001, 2000, 62.5 years. By 10, 11 of this century, it has gone up to 66. Literacy rate similarly has gone up from 64.8 to 74%. The death rate has declined from 8.4% to 7.1%. Madam, it is not my case that what we have achieved is the optimum level. I do recognize growth requires further efforts to boost it, that we need to do a lot more to promote inclusiveness, that health, education require greater attention, that environment protection measures have to be adopted with greater amount of firmness. But I would respectfully submit to this august house that what has been achieved is not something which can be belittled, as Sri Rajnath Singh ji tried to do. I know the BJP has a particular view of economic and social policies of the UPA. A few days ago, a conclave of the National Council of the BJP assembled in Delhi used the choicest abuses for the Congress establishment, the Congress leadership, and including myself. It is not my intention to reply them in that language, because I do believe that our work and our performance are the best judges that we have achieved. As a poet has said, हमको है उनसे वफा की उम्मीद जो जानते नहीं वफा क्या है. Also, madam, also, madam, there is a proverb and a saying that जो गरजते हैं वो बरसते हैं. And we and we have seen this arrogance not for the first time. The Shining India campaign in 2004 led to disastrous results for the BJP. In 2009, they fielded the Iron Man Advaniji against the lamb that Manmohan Singh is, and we all know what was the result. I am convinced that if the people of India were to look at our record in these 9 or 10 years, they would repeat what they did in 2007 and 2009. Madam, several honorable members have expressed concern about the state of agriculture. I share that concern. Farmers in our country are the most important constituent that the UPA cares for. We have done utmost to give our farmers remunerative prices, and here I make bold to say that the procurement prices of wheat, of rice, and other products have been raised in a manner which was never seen ever before in the history of the country.
No, he's not changing. आप रहने दीजिए.
I share the concern of the honorable members on the need for focused attention to the agricultural sector. That has been our priority. It will remain our priority. The achievements of our farmers in keeping us self-sufficient in food are indeed extraordinary. They work hard under adverse circumstances and they deserve all possible assistance. It is for this reason that we have increased the minimum support prices as never before. If we look at these prices across various commodities, they have increased by 50 to 200% since 2004-5. Since the year 2004, we have more than doubled the minimum support price for wheat and paddy. Credit flow to the agricultural sector has increased since 2003-4 by nearly 500%. The 12th plan allocation for the sector has been fixed at over twice the size for the 11th plan. Madam, it is the result of the hard work of our farmers and our policies that the average annual rate of growth in agriculture and allied sectors, which was stagnating at the level of 2.4 and 2.5% during the ninth and 10th plan respectively, increased to 3.7% during the 11th plan, despite the occurrence of a countrywide drought in 2009. It is true that the growth of agricultural sector during 2012-13 is at present projected at 1.8%. But the revival of the monsoon during the later half of the Kharif season and improved prospects for Rabi due to conducive weather conditions give me hope that the actual growth rate during this year would be higher than the figure that I have mentioned. To address the issue of shortage of covered storage capacity, the government had formulated the Private Entrepreneurs Guarantee Scheme in 2008. A capacity of 181 lakh metric tons has been sanctioned under this scheme, of which 43 lakh metric ton of capacity has already been created. Madam, an issue that did not come up significantly in the debate, but which I wish to flag is that of water. Shri Devi in his own way, referred to this problem. I do agree we have a national problem in the distribution of water of the interstate rivers, and I hope that the country would recognize the great importance of dealing with this problem in a holistic perspective. I, the UPA government recognizes the management of water resources as a major challenge. Srimati Supriya Sule referred to the need to give greater importance to the construction of check dam. We have already decided to modify the accelerated irrigation benefit program to make it more effective and expand the watershed development program during the 12th five-year plan. Apart from agriculture, urban and industrial water demand also needs to be managed more efficiently. Our groundwater resources need to be better preserved. We will be to these bringing these proposals on a new groundwater law and a national water framework law very shortly. Madam, several honorable members cutting across party lines have expressed concern over incidents of violence against women. This is an issue which unites all sections of our House, and I sincerely appeal to all sections of the House to speak with one voice if there are any legislative measures which we can agree upon, they can be then pushed forward at a much higher speed than is normally done when it comes to legislation through Parliament. I sincerely hope that we will, with one voice, agree to agree to go forward in a manner which will do justice to 50% of India's population, that is our women and children. We have, let me reiterate to this August House the commitment of our government to ensuring the dignity, safety, and security of every woman of our country. We have adopted a series of measures, legislative, institutional, and procedural, which reaffirm the collective